and yet my life is in turmoil. I think that's, a lot of us do that. And I can guarantee you that somebody right in front of you or right next to you, somebody has a hurt in their life. The only way that you can minister and be a servant is you've got to draw close enough to them. And then at some point you offer care. Hey, sit down. Let's meet for coffee. Let's go out and do lunch. Tell me what's going on. And one of the things that we can do to become more like Jesus is we draw close to people and we're willing to listen to their story. The last thing there is to develop a servant's heart, you're willing to pay the cost. Sometimes it costs you. One of my favorite stories, a buddy of mine, Hayward Calvert, told, he said that he lived in a rural area where you take your groceries down to the trash dump. And as he went down taking his garbage to the trash dump, he looked and there was a skunk that had been looking around for something to eat, and the skunk had got his head stuck in a can. And he was just trying to get the head freed of the can. And as he sat in his car watching that, he said, somebody is going to have to pay the price to help that skunk. I'm telling you, in life, it's often like that. Somebody is going to have to pay a price. But the price is not always just a financial price. Now here for this guy, he took out some coins and paid for his hotel room and said, look, when I come back, I'll pay it again. By the way, on Sunday mornings, I'm leading a class on handling money God's way, and we talked last week about debt. Just think if the Good Samaritan had been in debt, and he would have said to the guy, look, I'm just going to lay down here with you. That's about all I've got to offer. Sometimes when you've followed God's way of handling money, it puts you in a position to be the Good Samaritan. You're able to help out. But it's not always about money. Probably the most precious thing that you have to offer is your time. So one of the ways that the cost that you pay when you're a servant, it's just going to cost you time. Those who serve our children in Sunday school, it costs you time. Those who stay in extended session, it costs you time. Those who serve in different areas of the church. One of the greatest gifts that you give is your time. Second thing that it may cost you is your talents, your abilities, your skills. It may be that what you have is why people are drawn towards you. You may have a great listening ear, and that's why you find that people are always coming to you. Many of you know Curtis and Catherine Moody, members of our church. A lot of you might not know their daughter, Trudy. Trudy can go to the grocery store and just buying groceries. She's just standing in line buying groceries, and all of a sudden, the person ringing up the groceries will say, I sure am having a bad day. My husband, and Trudy says, what is it about me that people look at me and just start pouring their heart out? It's because she is so good at it. She is such a listening, empathetic, sympathetic, caring person that people pour their hearts out. So it might be that the very talent that you have is where people are drawn to you. And for you to be a servant may be that you end up giving not only your time, but also your talent. And then the third one, of course, is your treasure. Sometimes it just costs you. Sometimes it costs you to come up next to someone. Sometimes it costs you financially. I want you to join me. I want us to stand together as I tell the last part of the message this day. How many of you know someone that's a medical doctor, right? And at the end of their name, it may say, Dr. So-and-so, MD. And the MD stands for Mr. Doctor, all right? Medical doctor, all right? Now, how many of you know somebody that has a PhD? Yeah, now PhD, that's a good degree. You had to work hard, 4 years of college, a master's degree in most cases, and then it's a research degree. It allows you to teach almost anywhere, so it's a great degree. I've actually heard this. I've seen it several times, but I've actually heard this myself, where a mother was introducing the son who was a doctorate, had a PhD, and said, this is my son, Dr. So-and-so. Now, he's not the kind of doctor that can do you any good. Oh, that's just not true. It's not true. But I've been there. I know what that's like. Now, to me, it would just be such a terror, such a horrible thing for someone to introduce somebody from our church family and say, this is so-and-so. They're a Christian, but they're not the kind of Christian that can do you any good. Now, this whole series is about equipping us, turning our thoughts toward being a servant. I know some people are passionate about evangelism. Some people are passionate about learning and growing. God bless them. Some people are passionate about worship. God bless them. My role as a pastor is to help you become balanced in your Christian life. And so even in my messages, I'll preach different messages about the different purposes of the church. I want us to practice serving so that you can be a balanced Christian. So that you'll be the kind of Christian that always does somebody good. That wherever you work, it's better because you're there. Whatever sports teams you coach, it's better because you're there. When you're in the bleachers cheering, it's better because you're there. When you're in the civic organizations, you're salt and light, and it's better because you're there. You're the kind of Christians that can do someone good. But the reason we do it is because we have that servant heart, just like Jesus. We're going to sing together a servant song. It's an old hymn. It's in the hymn book. It's an old, ancient kind of hymn. But it really talks about the opportunity to be servants to one another. And we are servants in the body of Christ, the church, as well as outside the body. Let's sing together, please.